Lots to accomplish on this Thursday night. Dan McGowan takes a look at the schools because it's that time of year.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Pleasure to have you aboard. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, WPRI.com reporter Dan McGowan has been working on a whole back to schools thing for WPRI on the air, of course, on Channel 12 and Fox Providence and WPRI.com. And it's part of a theme of back to schools coverage that you ought to be tuning into both of those fine stations, one eyewitness news organization, trying to get you mentally, psychologically, and parentally fit to get your kids back to school. So some information on some good data that they've brought to the table in a couple of minutes. And also some breaking news on some stuff going on with economic development and the Superman building. So Dan's on top of that because if it's Providence, he's on top of it. All right, let's go to the rundown and just kind of check. Wow. What you know what? So far, I've learned in this presidential race that if you come with your own prism, you see it the way you want to see it. If you're a Trump supporter, you think he had a big day yesterday. If you're not a Trump supporter, it's kind of a freak show. What can I tell you? Headlines here. The New York Times, talks about the gamble. And the Washington Post did a little fact-checking on Donald Trump's speech and gave him a pants on fire on the number of illegal immigrants. Could be 3, could be 30 million. The data, the U.S. Census data, has it right in that 11, 12 million range. The only thing that they actually did give him a plus on is, only do this. Let's run the story and I'll tell you about that.
Anyone who has entered the United States illegally is subject to deportation.
In Phoenix, Donald Trump promised mass deportations, but did not explain how he would do it.
People will know that you can't just smuggle in, hunker down, and wait to be legalized.
Undocumented immigrants must return to their home country and apply for re-entry, Trump said, vowing to subject new immigrants to ideological tests.
It's our right as a sovereign nation to choose immigrants that we think are the likeliest to thrive and flourish and love us.
Trump's 10-point plan included tripling the number of immigration agents to round up undocumented criminals, withholding federal tax dollars from sanctuary cities, and a biometric registry to halt visa overstays.
Are you ready?
Trump's number one point was his most rehearsed.
We will build a great wall along the southern border. And Mexico will pay for the wall. They don't know it yet, but they're going to pay for the wall.
This time, though, Trump added a new diplomatic wrinkle.
Mexico will work with us. I absolutely believe it. And especially after meeting with their wonderful, wonderful president.
In Mexico City, Trump met with President Enrique Peña Nieto and traded campaign bombast for the hushed tones of cooperation.
We all share a common interest in keeping our hemisphere safe.
Trump misled reporters, however, by saying Mexican financing of a border wall did not come up.
We did discuss the wall. We didn't discuss payment of the wall. That'll be for a later date.
This is his big issue, the wall, and they're going to pay for it, screaming in arenas all across this country. And when it comes to gut check time, he doesn't respond to the Mexican president's obvious point to be made that they're not paying for the wall. For those of you who think he's some brilliant negotiator, well, congratulations. You think he's a brilliant negotiator. I think he choked. And I said that before the Democratic machine for Hillary Clinton started using the same word. Anyway, what he's correct on is the number of people who are here via expired visas. There are millions of people who have overstayed their welcome. And on that, he's absolutely true or correct. But for the most part, his fact-checking, check the Washington Post, did a good job on his 10-point plan yesterday. By the way, there's still no definition as to what to do with 11 million people. Okay, so you're going to carve out the criminals, and we're all for that, and that was everybody's plan. But what specifically is he going to do with the balance of law-abiding illegal aliens? And still, there's nothing there. All right, so we've got plenty of time. 60 more days of this, at least. Unfavorable Hillary, I mean, she's in no better shape. Who knows who's going to win this race? I mean, take a look at some of the headlines here. Record high unfavorability numbers. Washington Post reports the same thing. and another, I think we have another piece of data here. I mean, she's at 56% in terms of unfavorability rating, while he's, in the 63% range in that particular piece of data. But there are other news organizations that have that actually flipped, where he's 3% less than she is. The American public have never had more stomach pain over a presidential race, no doubt. Coming back home real quick, Mr. Robert Kando has been excused after, I don't know, a litany of problems up and down with the State Board of Elections. The Providence Journal reports that he got dumped by a 4-2 vote. The governor kind of went in there and stacked that deck to try to relieve the people of Mr. Kando, who, for the most part, was seemingly competent when it came to Election Day stuff. And of course, Election Day is on our doorstep, so we'll see whether this was a premature piece of work on the part of the Board of Elections, or whether they could have waited until after Election Day to execute it. But know that sometimes elections are a little shaky around here. Keep all hands on deck and fasten your seatbelts for Election Day. This is interesting. In Burrillville, they have the planning board saying, there's been some issues here with this Invenergy power plant, which we spent a considerable amount of time on here, and I guess we got to regroup with. The planning board saying no good, citing some problems with water. The local water authority, the Pasco Water Authority, actually told the Invenergy plant that they weren't going to cooperate with them a little while back. And that presents a real situation for the power plant, because they've got to come up with an alternative source for water, and they haven't yet. Thus, the planning board said, amongst other things, this thing doesn't seem to make any sense. The state siting board, though, is the real boss on this, and the planning board's recommendation of Burrillville is just that: an advisory opinion and a recommendation. And that's what you have so far on at least our plate for this evening. In the meantime, we've got some news. We're going to go back to school with Dan McGowan, sort of. But in the meantime, you know this building, don't you? This is the Superman building, as it's so well known. Empty, rotting, and one of the biggest economic development questions the state of Rhode Island and the city of Providence have had to deal with. And fine, sir, you have some news on this, do you not? Welcome, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me, as always. Yeah, Ted Nisi and I reported actually just today that we know that PayPal, the big company that decided after the whole issue in North Carolina with the governor there, is looked to move an operations center somewhere else, and we know the governor has been in meetings with them and has been really trying hard to get on their radar. They have issued a request for proposal to the Superman building. So we're told through sources, pretty high-level sources with direct knowledge of these conversations, that they are interested in the Superman building. They're certainly interested in Rhode Island. They are looking at other places in Rhode Island as well. But it'd be a very interesting thing if they do come to that downtown building.
What are they looking for in terms of square footage? I mean, they're looking to take over the whole building? The company's that big?
No, they're looking for about, according to these documents that we obtained, they're looking for about 60,000 square feet, which is minimal in terms of that building. That building's about 400 square feet. So,
400,000.
Yeah, 400,000, excuse me. What I suppose what could happen is, first 5-6 floors go to PayPal, maybe the rest becomes apartments, something like that. I'm sure there will be subsidies involved if it does happen. Obviously, way premature to have that conversation at this point.
No matter what, and listen, if the governor's, got a tiger by the tail and took advantage of the political strife in North Carolina, this is all over bathrooms, by the way,
right,
in North Carolina, and whether transgendered people need to. Well, you know the whole story. It's just a whole mess there. I give her credit. I mean, every once in a while she's got to knock one down, and she would say with GE and now at PayPal, maybe she's got it going on.
Yeah.
But they're a long way from making this kind of a deal right now. By no stretch can you suggest that no matter what PayPal's interest is, that there won't be a public-private partnership investment in this. And I'm telling you, everybody I talk to out there hates the idea of public money to save that building.
Absolutely. So that's what's so fascinating about this, right? Think about it like this. Bringing PayPal to Rhode Island, big win for the governor. I think we can agree on that. One could argue that bringing PayPal and putting them in the Superman building could be a double win, or on the flip side, it almost muddies the water in some ways, right? You get this win by bringing this big company
Here's
here,
a fourth
but
or
then
third of the building.
and then you have to give, however much money. You could get some backlash there, and so I was a little surprised. I thought it's a great move to, if they can bring in PayPal. I'm surprised that the Superman building is in play there, but if they can fill it, I mean, we talk so much about trying to fill it.
How many employees do they have?
I've heard various numbers here between low 200s, potentially upwards closer to 1,000, 700, 800 employees. So I don't know exactly what that number would look like at this point.
All right. What's the timetable on the request for proposal from the building? A week, 2 weeks,
We
a
know
month?
that the request for proposal went to David Sweetser, the owner of the building, on August 18th. They were supposed to reply by August 26th, so last week. So it is moving relatively quickly.
All right, good update. And make sure you're checking out WPRI.com. Who's that? Hello? It's from Ohio. They're selling me something.
Telemarketer.
I hate it when I forget to turn the phone off. It's just been one of those days. Anyway, hey, listen, I hate it when you miss a great opportunity. I'm over here now. To cash in, Bruno and Company Associates, who have advertised here before. If you don't mind, I'm going to cheat because they've got some cool stuff coming up for their auction in Cranston. Upcoming antique estate auction on Saturday, September 17th. That's not this weekend, but 2 weekends from now, at noon, featuring over 350 lots, including a large collection of antique miniature portraits and silhouettes from a Cape Cod estate, highlighted by a rare youthful depiction of Rhode Island's 12th governor, Lemuel Hastings Arnold. Did you get all that? Cool stuff. Always accepting consignments for upcoming antique and toy, comic, and collectibles. Check out Bruno and Auctioneers for this big event coming up in a couple of Saturdays from now. All right, right back on the school issues, and there are plenty with Dan McGowan. Stay with us. So checking in with superintendents and their vibe for this new school year has been a project that WPRI 12 and Fox Providence have been engaged in. Of course, you can read a lot about it on WPRI.com as well. Here's what one of the headlines would look like if you're looking to identify the stories on WPRI.com. And here's a little bit of a scene setter for the conversation.
We found out the top concerns are finances and the conditions of some of our older schools. But the 5-question survey produced a lot of intriguing answers. 16 districts in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts mentioned finances as their biggest challenges in slightly different ways. Bristol Warren Superintendent Mario Andrade is concerned over decreasing state aid from the funding formula. And Cumberland's Robert Mitchell tells us we spend less per pupil than any other district. Consolidation and conversion are on the minds of several districts as well. And superintendents from Westerly, Narragansett, and Little Compton tell us their biggest challenge is declining enrollments.
It is a movement.
When we asked what each superintendent was most proud of, Cranston's Janine Notomasi talked about implementing all-day kindergarten and moving 6th graders to middle school. The point of pride in Burville was raising the graduation rate from 75% to 91% in one school year, a similar reaction in Providence, where they cut absenteeism and suspensions. Several districts talked about providing laptops to students and using social media more as something parents and students might be surprised about this year. And if you think summer vacation is too short or too long, the question about what the superintendents would change if they could brought this answer from Johnston's Bernard DeLulo. He would subtract time from the summer break and add it to other vacation periods by using a non-traditional school calendar to reduce summertime regression.
So parents and teachers.
South Kingstown's Kristen Stringfellow would allow students to progress through the school system at their own pace to take advantage of their various learning styles. There are about 36 pages of answers here, and you can see what your superintendent said about your children's schools by going to WPRI.com right now. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News.
Superintendent of Johnston just screwed up a bunch of summer plans there for people, didn't he?
Well, when you get lots of those responses of, we asked them, what if you could do one thing, what would you change? Give you a magic wand, what would you change? There was a couple that said whether it was change summer vacation, get rid of maybe some of those middle, February or April vacations, extend the school day, move those start times up for high schools, things like that, or back, I guess. So there were a couple of things that certainly, and I've been hearing from parents as they've been reading these surveys that are a little bit alarmed.
Alarmed over...
I think
Any kind of change, by the way.
that's the thing is everyone hates change. It doesn't matter whether it's in testing or schedules. I mean that's natural. One of the things that's cool about this survey that we did, we asked every superintendent 5 questions. That's from all of Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. So we're getting feedback really for the first time from people in different communities. I cover Providence typically, but when you start hearing from South County and stuff like that, the concerns generally are the same. Funding, facilities, like Walt said in that package, but they come together in different ways, and you see it's just interesting overall. So.
Well, I think it's a really good project for you to just get this kind of take, because in general, the superintendents in such a key role are not usually very well heard.
Yeah.
Right? They tend to be very tentative. I'm generalizing now. They tend to be very tentative in controversial situations in their districts whenever things come up. Very protective. They have their own organization that lobbies and has its own point of view, and doesn't necessarily. The organization doesn't necessarily market itself on the front lines. The teacher union is the organization.
That's right.
Both the AFT and the NEA, they get most of the attention. School boards get a lot of attention, but the superintendents, kind of operate in this place. And there is a movement to bring a lot of power back, not only to superintendents, but to principals.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, think about this. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, superintendents are, generally speaking, among the highest paid employees in any town in Rhode Island. They're certainly paid far more than the mayors or town managers. They have an enormous amount of power. We're talking, generally speaking, half of any municipality's budget is the school department. Now, some of these... At least, yeah. And some of these districts obviously have to report to tougher school committees, so they have superintendents that maybe don't have as much power as in other places, but absolutely, and they are I don't know if underrepresented is fair, but you hear far more from teachers unions, from the lobbyists on both sides, school reformers too, than you do from the superintendents. That was part of why we really liked this project, to go in and just have, look, we're not breaking wild news in any of these surveys, but you are seeing really what they're thinking about as you head into the new school year.
And every district, I mean, people move into districts if they have families with school-aged children. It's always the biggest concern, and superintendents have a chance to entrepreneurialize their roles, perhaps more than anybody else. Yeah. Is there one or two systems that stood out as game breakers?
One, and we did a story actually this morning. We're taping Thursday, and it aired on South Kingstown, and they're doing some really sort of incredible work. They had some of the best elementary school park scores in the state, and while you say, okay, it's a suburb, it's a more affluent community, no surprise at all, but they're outperforming a lot of the cluster of schools that have similar amounts of poverty. So South Kingstown is far and above one of the best districts in the state when it comes to testing. What they say is, they focus on this reading program at the elementary school level. They worked with Columbia University, and the thing that I know you hear this a lot is they've stuck to it. They've had this program in place for 5-6 years now, and they haven't changed it every year, and that's one of the big things that's working there.
As I peer through some of these surveys, there's a lot of, can we get some consistency from the state and all that kind of stuff? And when we come back, we'll talk about how the new commissioner is doing, not only with the supers, but across the board. Stay with us. Welcome back in. Dan McGowan, WPRI.com, Walt Buteau, the whole crowd at Eyewitness News has been working on this Get Back to School type of series. So check in at WPRI.com and, of course, on air for the latest discussions. And, of course, school discussion is year-round. There's always that, I think, too early back-to-school mentality. Can you give me Labor Day, please, forever? But the new commissioner is in a really interesting place. He's been here twice. He's an amenable guy. I think he's a pretty good thinker. Comes in from New York State. Replaces Deb Gist, who was, like or not, was a change agent. Yep. He seems to be, in some ways, though, soft-pedaling a lot of reform. And how do the superintendents see that? Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned this before the break of you're hearing some superintendents say they want more consistency out of the Department of Education. They want maybe some of those regulations to be rolled back. They want to be able to have a little bit more freedom. I think generally the
Commissioner Wagner has tried to reach out and be a decent partner with some of these superintendents. I'm hearing that a little more than, Commissioner Gist, who was a firebrand, right? She went out, had a lot of support early on, particularly from the business community. She had the governor that was with her at the time when she first came in, at least, and was able to come in and say, and be that outspoken person, advocating for reform. What the problem was is that she alienated a lot of superintendents. You talk to folks in Providence, for example, they would have said, we love everything you're saying, now pay for it. And that never happened. And I think this commissioner is really taking a more, he would maybe call it a more thoughtful approach. Certainly it can be mistaken.
The problem, the juxtaposition on that is hard because, there's theme, there's policy, and then the state education department, through its board, this thing has to go lobby the state legislature for the funding mechanisms that may be in place. And so while it says, please do this, how you fund it, this has to come from the legislature and or be adopted on a local, tax levy basis. And so it's not all a streamlined process. Education in this state is kind of like all over the map.
Well, here's the scarier thing too, and I wrote about this. We kind of broke down the proposed graduation regulations that they want to make some changes. Well, one of the things that's really interesting is it's not just money that the Department of Education has to go and lobby the legislature for. Remember, we're 2 years back from the state literally stepping in and saying you cannot, have a graduation requirement with a test involved, right? Remember, they pushed that back really at that last minute in the legislative session in 2014.
The legislature did.
The legislature did, which is unheard of, by the way.
En route Deb Gist to Oklahoma. I think that was the final straw.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And what Commissioner Wagner is basically saying is we're coming in, we knew we wanted to look at the graduation requirements. We also know that the legislature has shown the willingness to potentially overstep its bounds or step in. And so what they're trying to do is basically come up with what I call a grand compromise in some ways. And the idea is to reflect if you're a student who does well on the PARCC exam or any number of SAT, AP exams, things like that, you'll get basically a merit badge. You'll get a sticker on your diploma that says that you passed, it's called a commissioner's seal. And it's interesting, it's similar to what Commissioner Gist proposed a couple of years ago, maybe not as tough, I guess is fair enough to say, but it is interesting because it does at least keep testing in the conversation.
The question is, who checks it? Does it end up collecting dust in your basement, or is it actually something as a step to college placement and the like?
Massachusetts is a state that offers a scholarship if you perform exceptionally on the MCAS. I could see it's totally conceivable that maybe URI or RIC would do the same on the commissioner's seal. The question is, does then it devalue the generic diploma?
Well, we've always argued that we push kids through too much. If we're still pushing them through, but some of them get little stars, at least they performed while they were being pushed through.
That's right.
Check out WPRI.com for the entire school series, and of course, Eyewitness News. Thanks, Gideon.
Thanks.
Final word, and we come back. Alrighty. By the way, tomorrow afternoon on WPRO from 3 to 6, there's a radio show, mine. The North Providence mayoral candidates will join us live, and so that ought to be a dandy. Still trying to get them in for next week on television. We'll keep you updated on that. And tomorrow night here on Dan York's State of Mind, these young men, and they are young, but they are achievers, the Warwick North Little League team and its coach. That ought to be some fun, so tune in. Thanks for watching. Good night.